Again, to give us perspective, we were at Mound City Group. Hopewell was the last place we were at, and now we're down here at Siep, or Siep Earthworks. I think they call it Siep. No part of our country is so rich in prehistoric remains as Ohio. While other states have preserved their own mementos, Ohio has allowed her fields to be despoiled. 1885. We imagine the number of mounds that have been destroyed since then in the name of progress by farming and by construction, state as well as private. 6, William C. Mills excavation team at Siep Mound. Exactly your modern excavation, but at least they weren't pot hunters. Pretty little daisy tree. Don't think I've ever seen a bush like this. So we'll follow this 1-mile trail shown in red that leads past the buildings and Siep-Pricer Mound through the interior of the earthworks and to Paint Creek. 1920s photo of the 2 mounds, which were subsequently excavated, but only one was restored to its original size. It's like here we pass through a wall, perhaps, the remains of a wall around part of the complex, or this just may be a square that you can see outlined like that. Noticed that we're approaching apparently from here, but there is a square here, and then this partial circle, another circle off to the side. This is based on my observation. I would say we were going in right here. Absolutely sure of the scope of this site, but since we'll be walking for a mile plus, probably includes a good part of what we see looking like mown field. I've walked straight ahead towards this, what looks like an elongated mound, and I'll keep panning just so we can keep orientated. And here's an elongated lower mound. There used to be a house here in 1972. These posts are outlining, if you see them here and here and here and over there. Not so big a house, and something right here too. House number 3 in 1973. Again, we see some of the outline along here, but mainly those little short posts sticking up there, and maybe that's another house over where that sign is. Here we're standing below this mound, and presumably even it was not restored to its original height. It is known as the Siep-Pricer Mound, second largest known Hopewell mound, evolving through a sequence of events starting with the building of an oblong multi-room mortuary building nearly 2,000 years ago. Ceremonial leaders cremated bodies elsewhere and interred them here in the mortuary building. They built earthen platforms where ashes were laid, and to a lesser extent, they placed extended corpses in log crypts. Some 122 men, women, and children were buried here, with unusual objects surrounding the remains. The large mortuary building was then burned down, and the layering of mounds began. The large photo to the right shows, which you just saw, a log crypt. There's the log crypt, where the burials were mounded twice. Don't know what that means. The primary mound was built over the crypt, but over time the crypt's logs rotted away, causing the middle to sag. The second mound layer representing Hopewell's restoration of the mound. So the Hopewell themselves restored the mound. In different cultures that I've been in, including in Eastern Europe on my second trip, where they had made large stone crypts, and even some of those had started to collapse. G-pipes were found. Here's Henry Chatron working. It's good that we preserve and immortalize, if you will, his efforts, and he since they will be important to the preservation of our understanding of the past. Thousands of pearls, implements and ornaments of copper, mica, tortoiseshell, and silver found in profusion. As I walk around the right side of this mound, we can see some feature over there to the right. Maybe a circle with a small wall. Don't know yet where we're going. What I think we must be looking at, we'll have to check the diagram when we get back, is this might have been either just a circular walled area or a mound, no telling. And then it has this entrance here that I've just panned over if they use the mowing as an indicator, and blocking it, if you will, but not really, but about 30 feet away, is what appears to be maybe a round circular area that might also have held either a mound or a circular walled area. Again, we'll have to check and see. I'm standing on what looks like an elongated wall, but it could just be something farmers erected here. And I'll pan over those so you can orientate my vehicle over there somewhere. And looking down at the road, here's where that embankment is. And this is clearly a depression here, but it could simply be the normal grade of the field in this area built up as a road bed. Another view of what appears to be a round unmown area indicating something. And then that area, which is round, but is a perimeter of vegetation suggesting it is a walled area rather than actually a mound. Don't see where the interpretive trail goes, so I'm going to go walk behind that mound over there. I'm slightly below the grade, if not at the grade, of this circular walled area as I've described it. And I'm looking across at that large mound, and there's a swale between here and there. Whether that was built, whether it represented a natural water runoff area, I don't know. But that area over there that the mound is on is certainly on its own plateau, which is higher than this elevation. And you can see that it breaks down that way on that side of what might be a square. And this, of course, side drops down into that swale. We just walked, and I'll pan around so you'll see that this is not really a swale, but a significant depression. And you can see how that plateau drops off to that grade there, but then even that rises a little bit, and all around me it's higher than I am at grade here. Very definitely walking up on top of what we'll see here in a moment with the camera's view is a plateau. Whether it's natural or whether it was built this way or modified, who knows. Interesting if in that indentation, if archaeologists examined it closely, whether they'd find evidence of a layer of clay indicating that it might have had the function of providing that water element that seems to pervade their religion and most others in the world. Walked behind the mound, the big one, from that place where we saw the walled circle and the mound beside it, to this, what looks like an elongated mound, but may in fact have been a round mound. I don't know, I have to look at the map again. But even from here I can see that right over there is what looks like a swale, but may well be another depression. They may have used that depression as a source for the material in the mound, and or, as we saw at the earlier site today, they may have actually filled it with water. Again, I'm unable to tell whether this is a circular mound or elongated. We'll have to look at that diagram. But you can see that it's on a rise, and that rise slopes off a little bit. Not dramatically. And here it does look like a swale that runs that way, even perhaps wrapping around the house. I can only imagine the numbers of people that might have gathered here. Was it large, requiring that big plateau near the big mound? Or was it smaller, and this big flat area just gave more drama to the mounds? Again, it looks a little bit more elongated from this other side. up this diagram again, it doesn't help us because there is nothing shown up here. Well, it does say large mounds. No, that's referring to this, I believe.